Chosen one. A community is turning on its leader, and you'll never guess who started it. The very person who once defended that leader with fiery loyalty has now flipped the script. What was once a united front built to discredit you is now a battlefield of blame. The same leader who orchestrated your downfall is being dragged through the same mud they threw at you. Someone close to them, someone who knows the inner workings, the cover-ups, the manipulations, is leaking the truth piece by piece. What was meant to humiliate you is now the stage for their undoing. Justice is here, and your vindication is unfolding beautifully. Someone is burning evidence right now, deleting messages, erasing digital footprints, trying to make things disappear that should never have existed. But here's the problem with destroying evidence in the digital age. Screenshots live forever, recordings back up to multiple locations. The internet never truly forgets. This leader built an empire on manipulation and control. A hierarchy was created where loyalty functioned as currency and questioning equaled treason. The operation resembled a cult without the compound. Everything looked legitimate on the surface. Community, connection, shared purpose. Underneath, bullying, emotional manipulation, financial impropriety, and a systematic campaign to destroy anyone who refused to fall in line. You were one of the targets, perhaps the first who refused to break. Every tactic in the playbook was deployed against you. Love bombing followed by withdrawal, public praise followed by private criticism. You were built up just enough to be torn down more dramatically. When that failed, the approach went scorched earth. Narratives about your character were manufactured. Others were recruited to see you through distorted lenses. You became the cautionary tale. But here's what wasn't anticipated. Some of those recruited people kept receipts, not because betrayal was planned eventually, but because something felt wrong, something didn't sit right, so documentation occurred, saving, archiving, just in case. That moment has arrived. The jig is up. The house of cards collapses. Everyone who participated scrambles to avoid being crushed under the rubble. You've seen this energy before. You experienced the precursor to this moment when attempts were made to place you in that circle's center. The difference? You walked away before the ritual could complete. You refused to accept the scapegoat role assigned to you. Now the original perpetrator experiences what was intended for you. Karma doesn't just balance scales, it uses your own weapons against you. It creates the exact experience you forced on others. Every bit of isolation, every ounce of confusion, every moment of gaslighting. It all returns with interest. The person who ignited this explosion was romantically entangled with the leader, an ex, a former partner, someone who shared intimate space with the enemy and awakened one day to a terrifying realization about who lay beside them. This person knows things, private things, behaviors behind closed doors that would disturb you deeply, conversations revealing the true character hiding under the public persona, planning sessions where your destruction was plotted like a military campaign. Heavy guilt weighs on this person, soul-crushing guilt, because participation occurred in what happened to you. Either direct involvement or silent witnessing while you were torn apart. The narrative was believed. You were seen as the problem because that's what instructions dictated. But something shifted. Perhaps one manipulation too many. Perhaps watching the leader deploy identical tactics on someone else. Perhaps the moment arrived when the realization hit that being just another pawn on the chessboard meant easy sacrifice when convenient. Whatever triggered it, the spell broke. Clear seeing began. The love bombing wasn't love. The intense connection wasn't intimacy. The shared mission wasn't partnership. Everything was strategy. Manipulation designed to extract maximum value while giving minimum authenticity. A courageous decision was made, walking away. But not quietly, not defeated. Walking away with evidence, documentation, proof of everything that occurred, and preparation to use it. Understanding this person requires grasping their motivation. This isn't pure altruism. This isn't sudden heroism. This is self-preservation. The ship is sinking, and a lifeboat is being grabbed. But in the process of self-rescue, the entire operation burns down, and that benefits you whether intentional or not. Statements have been given, evidence provided, names named, dots connected that investigators couldn't connect alone. This person became the key witness, the smoking gun. The inside source makes the whole case solid. This person approaches you, not immediately, but soon. Apology is wanted, explanation desired. You need to know the truth is now seen. Understanding that you weren't crazy and weren't the problem matters to them. Something else drives this impulse. Attraction exists to you, your energy, your peace, the fact that you survived and thrived after being cast out. You represent something, hope perhaps, evidence that life exists beyond toxicity, proof that healing happens, complicated feelings mixed together, guilt with attraction, shame with admiration, regret with possibility. Romance won't lead the approach. Too much awareness exists about what was participated in, but the energy exists, the interest exists, the magnetic pull exists. What you do with that remains entirely your choice. You owe nothing, not forgiveness, not understanding, not a second of your time, but the universe presents an option. What you do with it determines part of your next chapter. If this message awakens something within you, hype this video for other chosen ones who need to hear this. This storm brewing isn't just social fallout. This isn't just a community disagreeing. This is professional, potentially legal. This involves your workplace or a business venture connecting multiple people including you. An investigation proceeds. Perhaps oversight bodies are involved, perhaps external auditors, perhaps actual law enforcement. But someone official asks questions, examines records, interviews people, builds a case. The accusations involve fraud, mishandling of resources, bullying crossing into harassment territory, creating hostile environments, defamation, the kind of charges that don't just damage reputations, the kind that carry real consequences, terminations, lawsuits, criminal charges potentially. Your work might be under scrutiny, not because you did anything wrong, but because connection exists to the situation. You might need to start conserving resources, protecting reserves, preparing for a period where work might be uncertain, not as punishment, as a precaution. While investigation unfolds, people connected might be placed on leave, access might be restricted, staying away might be requested while things get sorted. This represents the delay approaching, the timeline where everything feels suspended, where progress slows, where you exist in a holding pattern, waiting for resolution. Frustration is natural, discomfort is real, but necessity exists. Proper investigations take time. Truth-seeking isn't quick. The storm warning isn't for you directly. Let clarity exist about that. This storm targets the leader, the person who created this entire mess. You might get wet from the splash, you might feel the wind, but the lightning targets someone else. This person faces comeuppance. Everything put out returns. Every person hurt gets their moment to speak the truth. Every lie told gets exposed. Every manipulation tactic gets named and documented. Karma manifests. What was done in darkness drags into light. You might be called as a witness. You might be asked to provide your account of what happened, your experiences, your observations, the things done to you. And when you do, you'll have opportunity to speak truth to power, to name what occurred, to stand in your integrity and let your testimony add weight to the scales of justice. This extends beyond personal drama. This concerns accountability. Systems that allowed toxicity to thrive finally face dismantling. People who operated with impunity finally face consequences. Justice not just for you, but for everyone harmed. While this unfolds, protect yourself. Stay neutral publicly. Don't gloat. Don't celebrate. Don't get pulled into gossip and speculation. Document everything relevant. Keep receipts, but otherwise, stay in your lane. Do your work. Maintain your peace. Let the process unfold without your interference. What actually happened to you wasn't just workplace politics. This wasn't just personal disagreements. This was systematic psychological warfare, gang stalking, a coordinated campaign to destabilize your reality and make you question your own sanity. Technology functioned as a weapon. Online platforms, social media, group chats, email chains, narratives about you spread through digital channels, images were doctored, screenshots were taken out of context, accounts were created, or others were enlisted to post things supporting the narrative. You could see just enough to know something happened, but not enough to prove it definitively. This creates complex trauma. Not a single traumatic event, but ongoing, relentless psychological pressure, never knowing when the next attack arrives, never feeling safe, never being able to fully relax because you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Belittling words were deployed, constant criticism disguised as concern, questions about your competence disguised as interest in your well-being, comments about your appearance, your work, your relationships, all designed to chip away at your confidence and self-worth. The gaslighting was constant, denial of reality. When you confronted situations, confusion was performed, claims of misunderstanding were made, suggestions of oversensitivity were offered, you were painted as paranoid or unstable, you were made to doubt your own perception of events you directly experienced. Real damage occurred, damage you're still healing from, damage manifesting as hypervigilance, as difficulty trusting, as expecting the worst from people, as protecting yourself perhaps more than necessary, because you've learned that danger can wear a friendly face. But here's what wasn't counted on. You're resilient. You didn't break. You bent. You struggled. But you didn't shatter. More importantly, you documented. Perhaps you didn't even realize a case was being built at the time. But you kept emails. You saved messages. You took screenshots. You wrote down what happened in real time. All of that documentation matters now. Your pain has purpose. Your suffering wasn't meaningless. It created a record. It built a case. It established grounds for accountability. Now that record gets used to hold people responsible. The technology component cuts both ways. Yes, it was used to harm you, but it also created permanent records. Digital forensics can recover things people thought were deleted. Metadata proves when things were sent and received. Addresses show who accessed what. The same tools used to attack you now expose the attackers. Justice arrives through the very medium weaponized against you. Technology was thought to provide power and anonymity. Hiding behind screens and group coordination seemed possible. That thinking was wrong. Technology preserved the crimes. Now it presents evidence of guilt. But a true character emerges. A big baby. A fool. Someone whose facade of competence and power crumbles to reveal a deeply insecure, emotionally immature person who never learned to take accountability for anything. This person has an explosive temper. When things don't go their way, detonation occurs. Lashing out, attacking, saying vicious things designed to wound as deeply as possible. When power existed, people tolerated this behavior. Excuses were made for it. Eggshells were walked on to avoid triggering it. Abuse was normalized and called passion. But now people name it for what it is: abusive, unprofessional, unacceptable. The explosive temper people once feared now gets documented as evidence of unfitness for leadership. Every outburst is another nail in the coffin. Every tantrum is another reason removal from power is necessary. Depression also exists. Real, clinical depression. This doesn't excuse anything, but it explains some things. Power and control have been used as medication for internal emptiness. Feeding on other people's energy filled a void inside, creating external chaos distracted from internal turmoil. Now that power slips away, depression intensifies. The thing used to cope disappears. The attention, the control, the ability to manipulate situations and people. Without that, only the self remains, and what's found there isn't liked. You might feel tempted to pity this person. Don't. Pity is what was used to manipulate people in the first place. Every time consequences appeared, the victim was played. People were made to feel sorry. Vulnerability was weaponized to avoid accountability. Understanding depression doesn't mean excusing behavior. Hurt people, yes, but hurt people remain responsible for their choices. The choice was made to hurt you, to create hostile environments, to destroy reputations, to manipulate and control. Depression didn't force these actions, character did. Now that character gets evaluated by people with power to determine the future: hiring managers, licensing boards, professional associations, legal systems, all examining patterns of behavior and reaching the same conclusion: this person is unsuitable for positions of power or trust. The delays approaching work in your favor. While scrambling to manage fallout occurs, you're building. While resources burn on damage control, you're conserving and growing yours. While opportunities are being lost, you're positioning yourself for better ones. A business idea surfaces in all this chaos. A new venture, a fresh start, something separate from the toxicity that might be yours to create, or an opportunity someone presents to you. Either way, new professional possibilities emerge from the ashes of what burns down. The fool energy perfectly fits this leader. Clever was the self-image. Always being steps ahead was the belief. Covering tracks and securing position seemed accomplished. But operation occurred on false assumptions. Loyalty holding was assumed. Fear keeping people silent was assumed. Charisma always providing salvation was assumed. Every assumption was wrong. Every calculation was off. Every strategy backfired. That's not wisdom. That's foolishness. That's hubris. That's the energy of someone who believed their own hype and forgot that reality doesn't bend to ego. Now reality gets faced without the buffer of enablers and followers. And reality isn't kind to people who've spent years running from it. Now let me put you onto something real. Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation, and attacks while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose. And the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition, and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. You've been in hermit mode, deliberately, necessarily. You pulled back from the noise. You stopped engaging with drama. You focused on healing and rebuilding in private. You stayed protected, working on yourself, avoiding the chaos. That hermit period ends, not because you're forced out, but because events you didn't create pop the bubble. The outside world knocks, information comes to you whether you seek it or not. You're about to be pulled into something requiring your participation. The person approaching you has decided to reach out. Courage was worked up. Messages were drafted and deleted repeatedly. Nervousness exists, hope exists, terror of your rejection exists, but compulsion to try anyway drives them forward. This person has done work, real work, processing what was participated in and why occurred during their own hermit period, facing shadows, taking accountability, actively trying to become someone worthy of your time and energy. Empty hands don't approach you. Evidence is brought, documentation of what happened, proof of the campaign against you, verification of your account of events. Preparation exists to stand with you if needed, to testify on your behalf, to use insider knowledge supporting your truth. But more than guilt and accountability drives this. Attraction exists, real, magnetic, undeniable attraction. You're seen differently now, not as the villain described, but as someone who possessed the strength lacked by others, someone who valued integrity over inclusion, someone who walked away from toxicity even when everyone else swam in it. Your energy calls to them. Your peace is seductive. The life you've built in your absence from that community represents everything wanted and not yet possessed. You represent possibility, healing, freedom. The romantic energy is complicated. How do you build something new with someone who was part of what hurt you? How do you trust someone who once believed lies about you? How do you open your heart to someone whose judgment was so flawed that truth couldn't be seen when it stood right in front of them? Valid questions exist, questions only you can answer. But understand this, people can change. Not everyone does, but some do. Some people have genuine awakening moments transforming them at a core level. Some people do the work, take the accountability, make the amends, become different. This person might be one of those, or might not be. Your discernment must decide. Trust your gut. Pay attention to actions, not just words. See if consistency over time exists, or if this is just another manipulation. Watch how your boundaries are handled. Notice if your pace gets respected, or if pressure to move faster than comfortable gets applied. The universe presents an option, not forcing a choice, just presenting a possibility. Someone who knows your history, who understands what you survived because witnessing occurred from the other side, who brings resources, information, and potentially business opportunities. Someone who's attracted to you and interested in building something with you, if you're open to it. What happens next is entirely your call. You can accept the apology and keep moving. You can hear them out and maintain distance. You can cautiously explore what might develop. You can shut it down completely. All responses are valid. All choices are yours to make. But know this, timing is divine. This person approaches you now, right when you're strongest, right when clarity exists about your worth, right when your boundaries are solid. If approach had come when you were broken, scraps might have been accepted. If approach had come when you were desperate, self-compromise might have occurred. But approach comes now, when you don't need them, when wholeness already exists, when their presence would be bonus, not necessity. That's the universe protecting you, making sure negotiation happens from strength position, not weakness, making sure choice comes from abundance, not scarcity, making sure anything that develops builds on solid ground, not desperate need. What's really happening under the surface of all this drama involves massive shadow work, not just by you, but by multiple people caught up in this situation. The universe forces everyone involved to confront darkness, to face wounds, to see patterns. The person approaching you has been doing deep shadow work, examining why toxic behavior was accepted for so long, what childhood wounds made belief exist that better wasn't deserved, what fears kept someone trapped in dysfunction, what beliefs about love and loyalty and commitment were actually beliefs about suffering and sacrifice. Time to heal happens, time when dust settles, time when investigations conclude, time when emotions process, time when new normals establish, time when clarity emerges from confusion. This timeline is necessary. Not frustrating. Necessary. Real transformation doesn't happen overnight. Real healing isn't a weekend workshop. Real growth requires seasons, planting, watering, waiting, tending, finally, harvesting. The spiritual awakening happening is profound. Multiple people have their moment of consciousness expansion, seeing how experiences were manifested through wounds, how what matched unhealed parts got attracted, how situations reflecting back core beliefs about self were stayed in. This leader embodied the inner critic for many people. What people secretly believed about themselves got said out loud. You're not good enough. You're not special. Harder work is needed to deserve basic respect. Gratitude should exist that anyone pays attention at all. Everyone who stayed in that toxic ecosystem had some version of those beliefs already running in their subconscious. The spiritual lesson concerns vibration, frequency, the truth that you attract what you are, not what you want. If unhealed wounds around worthiness exist, people and situations confirming unworthiness will arrive. If beliefs about being unlovable are carried, people withholding love get magnetized. If abandonment is feared, situations where abandonment becomes likely get created. But here's the powerful part. Once the pattern is seen, change becomes possible. Once understanding exists about how wounds ran life, healing can occur. Once recognition happens about how creation from pain occurred, creation from power can start. Focus on yourself. That's the only thing mattering right now. Not the investigation, not the leader's downfall, not the community fracturing, not even the person approaching you. Focus on yourself. You've been told to start conserving. Take that advice seriously. Build reserves, protect resources, create a financial buffer, allowing you to weather uncertainty without panic. This doesn't come from fear. This comes from wisdom. This is strategic positioning. You're being prepared for something bigger than what was lost. Something aligning with who you've become, not who you were. Something valuing your strength, your integrity, your authenticity. Something not requiring you to diminish yourself to fit in. But you'll miss it if focus goes to their drama. If obsession exists with watching the leader fall. If getting caught up in the satisfaction of vindication happens. If distraction by the chaos occurs instead of being centered in your own creation. Your period of waiting, of being in hermit mode, of staying protected, that was preparation, training, tempering. You weren't being punished by being sidelined. You were being refined in private so you could shine in public when the moment arrived. The moment arrives, the preparation period ends, the launching pad activates, but focus must be maintained, energy must be sustained, eyes must stay on your own path instead of being distracted by everyone else's chaos. Financial opportunity opens, not through manipulation, not through politics, not through appeasing the right people, but through genuine merit, through the value you provide, through the skills you've developed, through the reputation you've built quietly while everyone else made noise. Success approaches because you didn't break, because you didn't compromise yourself, because walking away from toxicity occurred even when it cost you, because integrity was chosen over inclusion, because valuing your soul more than status happened. That choice is about to pay dividends you can't imagine yet, but only if focus stays, only if the work continues, only if your frequency maintains and refusal to be pulled into lower vibrations occurs. You might wonder why all of this happens now. Why not earlier, when vindication was needed more? Why not later, when even more healing existed? Why this specific moment? Because timing is everything in transformation. Too early and readiness wouldn't exist to receive what approaches. Less than deserved would be accepted. Compromise from weakness would occur. Building from wounds instead of wisdom would happen. Too late and opportunities would be gone. The market would be served by someone else. The moment would pass. The window would close. Right now is perfect because of who you've become. Enough healing occurred to engage without being triggered. Enough perspective was gained to see clearly, without bitterness clouding vision. Enough skills developed to seize opportunities without being overwhelmed by them. You're strong enough to hold boundaries but soft enough to remain open to possibility. The leader's downfall happens now, because that's how long it took for enough people to wake up, for enough evidence to accumulate, for enough courage to build in the people who had information, for enough consequences to stack up that ignoring them became impossible. Justice moves slowly, but it moves inevitably. The investigation happens now, because bureaucracy is slow, and thoroughness takes time. Cases have to be built carefully to withstand scrutiny. People have to be interviewed systematically. Evidence has to be documented properly. Justice isn't about speed, it's about accuracy. The business opportunity emerges now, because markets take time to shift. People need to lose faith in old solutions before seeking new ones. Trust has to be destroyed before rebuilding with different people becomes possible. Demand has to reach a critical point before supply becomes viable. Everything is synchronized. Everything is coordinated, not by human planning, but by divine orchestration. The universe conducts a symphony, and every instrument comes in at exactly the right moment, including you. Your part in this symphony is crucial, not because you're more important than anyone else, but because your specific note is needed at this specific time. Your unique frequency, your particular medicine, your singular contribution. Without it, harmony is incomplete. With it, everything resolves into something beautiful. Every piece of this puzzle fits together into a picture about to transform your understanding completely. The community turning on the leader creates space for authentic community, the kind built on mutual respect instead of fear, the kind where questioning can happen without exile, the kind where diversity of thought gets welcomed instead of punished. The investigation at work cleans house, Toxic elements get removed, new standards get established, accountability structures get created, space gets made for people who are being held back by politics and favoritism to finally advance on merit. The person approaching you represents a potential ally, someone with insider knowledge, someone who can verify your account, someone who might become a business partner for the new venture forming, someone who could become more if timing and healing align properly. The evidence being gathered vindicates you. It proves you were telling the truth. It validates everything you experienced. It removes any lingering doubt about whether you were the problem. It establishes publicly what you always knew privately. The delays and waiting period gave you time to heal, time to get clear, time to build yourself back up, time to develop new skills and perspectives, time to become someone ready for what approaches instead of still wounded by what happened. All of it, every single piece, working together for your benefit, even the parts feeling like obstacles, even the parts seeming like setbacks, even the parts appearing to be punishment, all of it, positioning you perfectly for this moment. Birth happens, the birth of a new enterprise, a new business or project or initiative rising from the ashes of what burned down. This isn't just rebuilding the old model. This is creating something entirely new, something better, something learning from the failures of what came before. You might be founding this enterprise. You might be partnering in it. You might be joining it as a key team member. However it manifests, it's yours. It aligns with your values. It's built on integrity. It's designed to serve instead of extract. It's structured for sustainability instead of exploitation. The hard work ahead is real. Don't mistake this for a lottery win. This is opportunity, not a free ride. Building will be required. Proving yourself will be necessary. Delivering results will be expected. But you're equipped for it. You're prepared for it. You're ready for it. Someone changed sides. Someone jumped the fence. Someone who stood against you decided to turn against the person who manipulated them into opposing you in the first place. The tides turned. The team self-destructed. The scapegoating boomeranged. Now you see the full picture. Now understanding exists about why it had to happen this way. Now recognition occurs of the divine orchestration working on your behalf, even when feeling abandoned seemed real. You are a chosen one. Not because you're better than anyone else, not because you're special in some hierarchical sense, but because you were chosen for a specific assignment, a specific journey, a specific transformation. That assignment required you to go through exactly what you went through. You were chosen to demonstrate that surviving scapegoating and emerging stronger is possible. You were chosen to show that walking away from toxicity is an option, not a death sentence. You were chosen to prove that integrity matters more than inclusion. You were chosen to model how healing looks and what growth requires. Every chosen one gets tested. The test looks different for everyone, but the core remains the same. Will you compromise yourself for acceptance? Will you trade your truth for belonging? Will you sacrifice your soul for status? Will you fight fire with fire, or will you transcend the battle entirely? You passed your test, not perfectly, but thoroughly. Stumbling occurred, struggling happened, self-questioning took place, but ultimately, you chose yourself, you chose truth, you chose peace, you chose integrity. That choice activated everything unfolding now. The divine justice you witness isn't revenge, it's restoration, it's the universe correcting an imbalance, it's karma completing a cycle, it's cause meeting effect, it's the inevitable consequence of actions taken and energy sent. You didn't have to fight this battle because the universe fought it for you. You didn't have to expose anyone because truth exposes itself eventually. You didn't have to seek revenge because karma handles that department. You just had to step back, protect your energy, and trust the process. Look what happened. Everything attempted against you happens to them. Everyone turned against you turns against them. Every weapon formed cuts them. Every trap set catches them. Every narrative created gets revealed as fiction. Meanwhile, you stand in your power, clean, clear, vindicated, positioned for the next level, ready for new opportunities, open to new connections, prepared for new creation. The person approaching you represents possibility, not obligation, not necessity, but possibility. Exploration can happen, declining can occur, time can be taken deciding. All power resides in that dynamic, because you don't need them. Wholeness already exists. The investigation at work represents cleansing, toxic elements being removed, healthy culture being established, merit being rewarded, integrity being valued, and you who embodied all those qualities even when it cost you, positioned to benefit from the new paradigm. The new business or professional opportunity represents fresh creation, something built on lessons learned from what burned down, something structured to avoid the same pitfalls, something designed to serve and sustain instead of extract and exploit. And you, with your hard-won wisdom, essential to its success. The community fracturing represents necessary endings. Fake unity built on fear was always going to collapse eventually. Better that it happens now. Better that people wake up. Better that an authentic community can form from the ashes of a manufactured community. Everything works together for your good, not because you're lucky, not because you're specially favored, but because you aligned yourself with truth, and truth always wins. Eventually, inevitably, absolutely. You are victorious, not because you destroyed enemies, but because you became someone enemies couldn't destroy. Not because you proved you were right, but because you stayed true even when everyone said you were wrong. Not because you won the battle, but because you transcended the war. This is your moment, not to gloat, not to punish, not to say I told you so, but to step fully into who you've become, to claim what you've earned, to receive what you're owed, to create what you're called to build, to connect with who you're meant to know, to live the life you survived to experience. The storm that approached them has arrived. Let it rage, let it cleanse, let it clear. You're safe from it, protected, positioned, prepared. While consequences are being dealt with, you step into blessings. The countdown that began with their downfall is the same countdown launching your rise. The evidence gathered against them is the same evidence vindicating you. The investigation exposing them is the same investigation clearing your name. The community rejecting them is the same community about to recognize you. Everything connects, everything times perfectly, everything works exactly as it should, not on your preferred timeline perhaps, but on the divine timeline, the one knowing things you don't, the one seeing what you can't, the one orchestrating what you couldn't. Trust it, trust yourself, trust the process. You've come too far to doubt now. You've survived too much to shrink now. You've grown too much to regress now. You've learned too much to forget now. This is your time, your season, your moment. The moment when everything you released returns to you transformed. The moment when everything you lost comes back multiplied. The moment when everything you survived becomes everything you needed to thrive. Stand tall in it. Stand firm in it. Stand certain in it. You are a chosen one. You were selected for this journey. You were equipped for this assignment. You were protected through this process. And you are being positioned for this next chapter. The tides that turned against you have turned for you. The team that opposed you has destroyed itself. The scapegoat role assigned to you has become their identity. And you, the one breaking was attempted on, stand unbreakable. This is divine justice. This is cosmic law. This is the universe having your back. This is confirmation that you were right to trust yourself, right to walk away, right to choose peace, right to value your soul more than their approval. Welcome to your victory, chosen one. You earned every bit of it. Now go live it.